My name is Leah Will. Do you need a moment? You need a moment. Okay. My name is Leah Williams. I'm a student at Mills College. I'm 52 years old, and my major is psychology.
Are you dyslexic?
Yes, I'm dyslexic, and I also have a short-term memory deficit. I'm not the only one. I'm just the only one that's open enough to say I have a learning difference. I'm the only one that's comfortable enough to say I'm dyslexic and I have a short-term memory deficit. It can be a struggle sometimes because I don't think all professors understand. I've had students here on campus, I've explained to them, that there are resources available to them at Cal Hall. And I've had some students tell me, well, I'm a 4.0 student. And just because you're a 4.0 student doesn't mean you don't have a learning difference. All students with learning differences don't have the same disability. I want to put a face to students with learning disabilities that looks like everyone else. You can learn a lot from a student with a learning disability if you're willing to take the time for it. I've been clean for over 20 years now, clean and sober. And the one thing I realized when I got clean and sober was that there was a big old world out here, and I had a big life. And with the longevity that runs in my family, I hope that if I live to see 100, that I make change during those 100 years. And I think coming to Mills, I'm on my way to making change, not only for myself, but for other people with disabilities, like myself. I'm glad we met too.
Aww. Did you think you were going to have this much fun with a 20-year-old when you came to college?
My 20 years when I came to college.
Oh man, well let me tell you, I was sick of 52-year-olds.
Oh, that's okay, but that's because you didn't meet a 52-year-old like me.
You're pretty special.
With all my swag and attitude, and a little sparkle every now and then, That's what I do, baby, that's what I do. I've learned to accept who I am and how I learn and how I test and how I read and how I think and how I process. I think I'm brilliant. I know I'm brilliant. I've survived on this earth for 52 years. And the last 6 years has been focused on earning my degree. Has it taken me longer than some? Yes. Will I still get the same outcome if I keep putting one foot in front of the other? Yes. It's okay to be different. It's okay to take your time. It's okay to learn the way you learn. The accomplishment comes when you get to the finish line of the goal that you've set for yourself.
Are you gonna graduate from Mills?
Yes, I am going to graduate from Mills.
Are you gonna walk across the stage?
Oh, with the most swag and vigor that you've ever seen. Because I didn't come here to fail. I came here to walk across that big end out in the meadow. Kate Brubeck is a grammar teacher here at Mills College. I would call her a grammar specialist. If you need a professor that understands you, I would recommend Kate Brubeck. She is awesome. She's always there to listen to her students. I do struggle sometimes, but she made me feel like it was okay to struggle. I think people need to know that she is a hell of a teacher. I don't recall ever having a professor like Kate Brubeck before. She has a true love for what she does as a professor here at Mills. She's interested, she wants to learn about dyslexia, about learning differences. She's eager to learn. She inspires me to be a better person as far as learning. She's kind of directed me into the field that I really am passionate about. And I think just wanting me to look at my own map of how I've done things and how I was able to function all these years with my dyslexia, because we're all unique. No matter if we have a 2.0 GPA or a 4.0 GPA, we all have something to offer. That's why I came to Mills. That's why I am Mills. Look, if they do have a fire, everybody should follow you out. Because I bet you half of the people haven't walked this campus like you have.
I remember from a young age seeing things in pictures and movies. I've always had a very vivid imagination. My name is Theresa Soares. I have dyslexia and auditory processing disorder. School has always been interesting. I never liked it until I got to college, where I found a lot more flexibility. I'm 20 years old. I'm a senior at Mills College. One of the most amazing things about students with learning differences is that by the time we persevere and get to college, all we know how to do is innovate, because what has worked for everyone else hasn't worked for us. I created a major called Business Management and Social Innovation. I started building computers when I was 14 years old. I knew that I wanted to go to college, but for some reason I knew that my grades weren't going to be strong enough. And before I knew it, I had built a couple of systems and went and applied for a job with the U.S. Navy. I'm often asked how I ended up at Mills. I guess the short answer is that it was one of the only colleges I was accepted to. And had I been granted extended time on the ACT, I'm not sure I would have ended up at Mills after all. The irony, and I think most of us would agree, is that Mills ended up being probably the best place for me.
So there's this really interesting fact that a very large percentage, a much larger percentage of successful entrepreneurs are dyslexic than in the general population.
They all founded their own companies. They've all made a lot of money. And
their stories are all the same.
what percentage of entrepreneurs were dyslexic?
In the US study, it was 35%, and in the UK study, it was 20%.
In the U.S., about a third of entrepreneurs that you happen to survey were dyslexic?
In our particular survey, yeah.
And how does that compare to the general population?
Well, in the general population, it's somewhere between 10 and 15%. In the US, they sort of put it together with ADHD.
Oh, that's attention deficit hyperactivity disorder.
Yeah. So 15% for those two together in the US. So it's much higher than in the general population. And in a way, that makes sense, because if you have to do things your own way, if you really struggle to fit into the corporate environment because you're not going to be comfortable filling in forms and so on and so forth, it would make sense to start your own business. The important thing that came out of the study is those people who had succeeded, their parents or a teacher had really believed in them and really pushed them to achieve in other areas.
For the future of meals, what we really need for students with learning differences and students with disabilities, we need a steady stream of financial support that will leave a legacy at Mills College, that Mills is the place to come if you're a student with learning differences.
And I think at the end of the day, an education is not something that you're just present for. It's something you must be active in.
Do you see education shifting to meet the needs of students like me?
Quick innovation is going to be the name of the game, and people who can figure out quickly how to be flexible, I think you're right. And people who've had the challenges that we've had are pretty good at that. We've already had our training.
And what I'm so curious about too is the ability to be able to talk about your learning difference in a positive way and to be able to share that with a group of individuals where you can talk about advocacy and where you can begin to kind of talk about greater policy change. How does that affect you in the classroom? Does that make you want to wake up in the morning and go to school? Does that make you want to do your work and be there and be present? There will always be people with learning disabilities that will come to this college, and they will always be here. You have a constant supply of people who think and learn differently. And I think it's a waste of creative capital to only serve what they have as a disability.
Women of color with learning disabilities are intelligent women. We're creative thinkers. We are very talented individuals. I plan on working as hard as I can to be the greatest rehabilitation counselor in education for students with learning disabilities.